Hello and welcome to e-Samvaad. This is Piyush Chaudhary, Assistant Professor at the Department of English at College, University of Delhi. This is the ongoing lecture series on Sudha Murty's Wise and Otherwise. As we all know, we have completed the first 30 anecdotes, the first 30 chapters, or rather the first 30 short anecdotal episodes in Sudha Murty's life, which she has explained to all of us, explaining her sense of wisdom, her sense of life, her sense of the various things that she has experienced in her life as a philanthropist, as a engineer, and as someone who has been working for the benefit of the society. Right? So let us now go on to anecdote number 31, which is titled Where There's a Will. So this is a story about donation. One of the key themes in this entire book, Wise and Otherwise, that Sudha Murty constantly tries to tell us is the idea of philanthropy. It's the idea of donation. So Sudha Murty tries to give us, this very basic lesson that one must try to donate, not to show, but rather to make a difference in someone's life. I think that is the prime reason. That should always be the prime reason of donation, right? But there are people who donate, but at the same time they try to show off that they have been donating, which is something that Sudha Murty really dislikes, right? So she says that one should try to make a difference in someone's life, and the glory in life, basically she's trying to say that the glory in life is basically not in its duration, but rather glory in life is in its donation. So what you can give to the other person, to your nation, to your society, right? So she goes to an event where she sees the names of donors are mentioned in each and every corner of the building. She was there to inaugurate that building. And this episode makes her contemplate and think about the idea of being recognized for donation, right? And it is quite clear that Sudha Murty, she does not do charity, she does not do philanthropy so that people can praise her. There have been several instances, for example, in the anecdote, powerful politicians and unsung donors. Sudha Murty was not given the attention that was due to someone who has donated a huge amount of money. Rather, the amount of attention was bestowed on the health minister, who did not even know that this construction is going on. So Sudha Murty does not get, she's not upset. She is definitely, a bit unnerved by it, but then she resolves to make sure that in the coming future, she should donate more, because her intention was not to get praises, but rather to make a difference in the society. And this particular anecdote, the one that I'm just discussing, Where There's a Will, does almost exactly the same thing, right? So Sudha Murty is just trying to tell us, the moral of the story is that donate to make a difference, but not to make your name or to make your status, or perhaps to make a social media post, which is nowadays very common. So this is anecdote number 31. Let me go to next chapter, and that is chapter number 32, which is titled Crisis of Confidence. So this is basically a story about Charu, who was one of Sudha Murty's students, who was excellent in her studies. She was very well educated, but she lacked some amount of confidence, and she was facing troubles as after her marriage, her husband and her mother-in-law, they were forcing her to do some household work. And in addition to this, she also had a job at the bank, so she was forced even to hand over all the money to the husband, and also to work in the home as well. So basically Sudha Murty is trying to say that there are always women who are educated, who are self-reliant, but they lack confidence. So this is the crisis of confidence, and she says that confidence and education, these are, and self-confidence are some of the most important virtues for young women, because, getting married and raising children is not the ultimate aim for a woman. Next up, she also talks about Kiran Bedi, who is a motivational speaker, Sudha Murty once goes to the same event where Kiran narrates, a story of a girl who was educated, but she fell in love with her classmate, and the two ran away to get married, but later on the boy abandoned her, and then she was completely on her own, and she was completely depressed. And so basically Sudha Murty, Kiran Bedi was trying to give a lesson that what is the point of all the education if a girl cannot prevent herself from such a big tragedy from happening to her. So Kiran Bedi is trying to tell us that life is an exam where the question paper is difficult and the syllabus also is unknown to everyone. So this is the analogy that Kiran Bedi makes in this particular chapter. So the first and the foremost thing, according to Sudha Murty, is that it should be education and financial independence for women. so that they can try to find their way out of any troublesome situation, right? So she's trying to tell us that apart from education, apart from academic standards, apart from being self-reliant and working, one must also have the self-confidence. So all of these things make us human, right? So this is what Murthy is trying to tell us, that girls should definitely build their confidence skills, their wisdom, and their self-reliance together, right? So perhaps reading these stories, all of us can learn to build our confidence and self-reliance. So this is the story of confidence and its importance. That's why the name is Crisis of Confidence. Next up is story number 33, anecdote number 33, which is titled The Price of Jealousy. As the title itself suggests, the moral of the story is that one should not be jealous and negative about anyone else's positive things, right? So she talks about her friend Parvati, who was a very negative woman, and she always used to find faults in everyone else. Even if someone achieved something, her first reaction was almost always negative. And so basically Parvati is a narcissist character, extremely self-centered as well, and she's jealous of other people's achievement. Then one day Parvati asked Sudha a very strange question which really upsets Sudha Murty. Parvati asks Sudha to tell about her ghostwriter. So she assumed that since Sudha Murty has been writing so many novels, so many short stories, so many books, and she's also writing in the columns, so it must be that Sudha Murty might be having a ghostwriter. So Sudha was visibly disturbed because writing is a therapeutic activity. It's something which is very close to the heart of Sudha Murty. And then if someone asks you this question, so Sudha was upset, and she simply says that she writes all these things on her own, right? So basically Sudha is giving us an example that Parvati is an example of educated people who are always negative. So Parvati comes from a good background, she is educated, she comes from a good family, but then she always comments negatively for others, always jealous of others. So there are people who are always negative through their activities, through their emotions, and due to any reason. So the idea is that Sudha Murty is trying to tell us that there are negative people in this world, and they will try to pull you down, or they will use their negativity to make you feel inferior, but one must never ever allow them to trump over you. So this is the larger moral that Sudha Murty is trying to tell us. Okay, so there are always negative people, and these people never remain happy. So according to Sudha Murty, the best culture is the one in which we rejoice in each other's success rather than being better than someone else just to prove yourself to be bigger than them, right? So one should always try to strive for success, and one must always strive for becoming better in their lives, but not at the expense of putting someone down. So this is the larger idea that Sudha Murty is trying to tell us, that one must always compete against their own selves rather than someone else. And if someone else is better than you in any area, then we should learn from them and not be jealous about them. And we should try to become as good, but not to make someone feel inferior. And we should not harbor these emotions of jealousy and negativity in ourselves. So this is the larger moral that Sudha Murty is trying to tell us, that one must never compare themselves to someone who is better than them. So one must rather try to become better themselves, and we should always strive to become better than our own selves. Okay, so every day we should try to become better than the previous day. So our own competition should be our own selves rather than someone else. So this is a very powerful, very powerful short anecdote by Sudha Murty that she's trying to give us. So this is chapter number 33. Let's come to chapter number 34, it's a very short story, which is titled The Truth About Women. So basically the idea is that Sudha Murty is trying to tell us that women face a lot of problems. Of course, when Sudha Murty was writing these particular short anecdotes and these experiential dialogues with herself, when she was writing this almost 20-30 years ago from today, during the late 1980s and 1990s, and now sitting in 2025 when you are watching this lecture, things have definitely changed. For sure, things have changed for women. Women are in a better position, definitely, but still a lot of scope is always there for improving women, for improving their living standards, and for the for empowering women. So that is just a short story by Sudha Murty. Next up, I'll go to story number 35, which is titled Life with Dignity. So story number 35 is titled Life with Dignity. This is a short story about a Swamiji. He is basically a religious monk who has donated his land, who has donated huge amounts of money, crores of rupees, perhaps several decades ago, for the poor, for the destitute, for the helpless women who were not able to find their own home, women who had nowhere to live, and they were completely marginalized, and women from the lowest rungs of the society. She goes on to say then, Sudha Murty, that this is the true nature of a leader, right? And someone who does not even want anything in return, and in fact has donated everything that is there with him. So this is story number 35. So that's it for this lecture. I have covered the first, the next 5 anecdotes from chapter number 31 all the way till chapter number 35. So next up, I'll be taking 5 more topics in the next part of this lecture. Please stay tuned and keep watching these lectures. I'll see you very soon. Thank you and goodbye.